Alright, gonna light your ass up, Satan. That's right, he's gonna light your ass up. Lucifer, the beast, the false prophet, the devil, hurled into the lake of burning sulfur. You'll be tormented there forever and ever. Right now, Ezekiel 21, the prophet Ezekiel. Chapter 21. I'm not sure what the verse is here because my Bible's saying this is 21 and 22. And in another book I found it was 26 and 27. So, starting at 14. As for you, son of man, prophesy, clap your hands and let the sword come down twice. Yes, 3 times. The sword for those to be slain, it is the sword for the great slaughter which surrounds them, that their hearts may melt, and many stumble. At all their gates I have given the glittering sword. It is made like lightning. It is taken up for slaughter. Cut sharply to the right. Set yourself to the left. Wherever your face is directed, also I will clap my hands, and I will satisfy my fury. I, the Lord Yahweh, have spoken. Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, the sacred name of the Lord. The word of the Lord came to me again. As for you, son of man, mark 2 ways for the sword of the king of Babylon to come. Both of them shall come from the same land, and make a signpost. Make it at the head of the way to a city. Mark a way for the sword to come to Rabbah of the Ammonites, and to Judah, and to Jerusalem the fortified. For the king of Babylon stands at the parting of the way, at the head of the 2 ways, to use divination. He shakes the arrows, he consults the teraphim, he looks at the liver. Into his right hand comes the divination for Jerusalem, to set battering rams, to open the mouth with murder, to lift up the voice with shouting, to set battering rams against the gates, to cast up mounds, to build siege towers. To build siege towers. So I'm going to change the number there, 21 and 22. I think that makes sense because I stopped at 20. And now I picked up 21 and 22 very quickly here. 22. That's victorious too. 2. So get a grip. This. Ki Amad Maleki Babel El Em Hadarek Barosh Shani Hadarekim Lakusim Kusim Kol Kol Bachetzim Shal Baterafim Rea Bakavod. So the king of Babylon is basically the devil. He's the dragon. He's the ancient dragon. There's a verse in another passage where it talks about how God's presence is on earth and that Babylon is a fugitive of earth, as if he was an alien, as if he was an extraterrestrial being outside of the earth in those unseen heavenly realms that Paul wrote about in the Bible. For stand king of Babel at mother, this is left out in the Bible generally. I would say at the mother trailhead, because at the city of Jerusalem there was a trailhead that God created before man ever dwelt in that place. Ba'arosh Shani Hadarekim. I just like to say at the crossroads. Pause 1 second here, please. Right. this is where it gets interesting. The kusim, to lamed, to divine, is the same word, witchcraft. Kal, I couldn't find where this word means shake, or to shake back and forth. I couldn't find it. Kalal, kal supposedly means insubstantial, or some sort of vague description like that. Kalal is the root. And so in this case, where the king of Babylon is standing at the mother trailhead at the crossroads to divine witchcraft, he is cursing with arrows or darts or projectiles. Ba-chitzim. Shall inquire. Ba-teraphim. So the prime root of teraphim is Rapha, and in this case, teraphim is sort of has the evil connotation, and it's the healer, so I figured out it must be the witch doctor. So you're talking about the enemies of humanity right now, you're talking about principalities, you're talking about demon worshippers, communists, and Islamo-fanaticists. At this point, they are being given the huge delusion because they didn't delight in righteousness. And so God is a real person, the devil is a real person. Obviously, the two antagonizing forces of good and evil are not equal in power. God is almighty and Babylon's power is limited. But these people, or the spirit behind this, is to look to the witchcraft for divination. And I've noticed that in my own life, that it's almost as if the devil can put a spell on you, or he can even lie to you and manipulate things so much that he's using magic against you. And it's not really anything you've probably heard before, but I realize when everything's going wrong and it just seems impossible for me to stand at that moment, or for me to even have a solid footing, it's because basically this stratagem that the devil uses, that Yahweh describes in full detail right here. And to look at the liver, whatever that means. You know what that tells me? The liver has to do with whatever is heavy, or heaviness. So the enemy's going to he's going to look at whatever's the heavy things in your life, the cross that God makes you carry, and then he'll just be, if the Lord allows him, then he'll just amplify those things that are heavy in your life, and that's called looking at the liver. But for humans who think that magic is real, magic is not real, and they might look at the liver or something and just do something totally ridiculous that will result in absolutely nothing, right? Okay. In his right hand, Bayomenu, in his right hand, Hiyah, use, Hakusim, is witchcraft. Jerusalem, Lasum, Shin, Mem, Sum, to put, Karim, battering rams. Lepetach, to open. Pe, mouth, be, ratzak, with murder. Laharim, to elevate. Kol, voice, bat, tarua, with clamor. Lasum karim, to put battering rams. El, through. Sharim, gates. Leshepak, to pour. Salah, mound. Lebenot, for building. Dayik, siege tower. Well, this is a major problem, but thank God he doesn't only give me problems, he gives me solutions. And so the siege tower, trying to stimulate people's minds right now, especially mine. The Daleth is the door. The Yod is a hand, and it's also the suspended letter. And then the Kuf, well, you see it goes down beneath the plane and sort of has this apparatus to it. It's also like a yod that's attached to a valve, perhaps. Someone might say that. But you see the door, and then the suspension, and then the foundation, and then it's basically a siege tower with this one word is self-descriptive, and it's a word picture of siege tower. Dayik. So this is true in my life. There's a light at the end of the tunnel because I do have a Bible, and so I know the Lord's intent. I looked ahead, I got the spoiler on this one, is that one of the verses that always comes into my mind when things aren't going right, or when it seems like I'm being surrounded, is that these nations, or these heathens, whether seen or unseen, these nations don't know that they are being gathered together to be beaten like sheaves of grain on a threshing floor. These nations don't know that they are being gathered together to be beaten like sheaves of grain on a threshing floor. For, stand King Babel, and I'm just going to go over this again. It's no problem for me to stimulate this thought in your mind right now, maybe. This could be on any level right now that you could see, knowing is half the battle. So, God does a miracle. God probably did like 3 miracles for me yesterday, maybe 5 the day before. Just little but major significant miracles. But then you have false miracles too sometimes. And you have basically just false miracles. It's false divination, and it's basically, if in the devil's right hand is used witchcraft, then we know that in Yahweh's right hand is righteousness, that he wields righteousness in his right hand. And so this isn't about people or some person with some necklace or whatever. That has nothing to do with this. This is way larger than that. And basically, if you've noticed when, if you think that you're suffering, or basically anything that's, opposing the will of God and the kingdom and the 10 Commandments, then it's to open the mouth with murder. Like whenever I'm under attack, personally I'm a veteran, and so I struggle with suicide prevention, stuff like that. And whenever I'm starting to have a problem, even if it's like a really small matter, I know that the enemy's end result is to kill me and to destroy my life and the lives of the people in my family, basically. Even my animals. To kill them, to destroy them. It starts with something small. It's sown in darkness. Then you see the blade, and the bud starts to shoot out. He lifts up the voice with the murder, the clamor. Whether that's the mass delusion, whether that's the state-run media, whether that's every man, woman, and child running as fast as they can to have some person they've never met stick a thingamajiggy up their nose to see whether they have COVID-19 or not, to elevate the voice with clamor. That is sick. And to put battering rams through gates. Basically, Abraham's descendants should possess the gates of their enemies. So if I sin, or if I get weak and I give up, then I give the devil legal right to wield his power over me. And if he puts the battering rams through the gates, then everyone around me is affected. And to pour the mound for building the siege tower. And basically, in the end, the devil can steal something from you, or he can assassinate somebody on a global scale. If we really screw it up, if we really fumble the football. Because when we're disobedient, it's so easy to ruin our lives. But when we're obedient, it's very easy to become disobedient and ruin our lives, But when we are obedient, then we can punish all wickedness. And that's the rail that we've been on. That's what I'm on. So join me next time. El Roshi, Godhead, the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The Almighty, Asher, Hiyav, Ve'aveh, Ve'avo, who is and who was and who is, well. Fall down on your knees. Get down on your face. I'm going to be prostrate just like the precious stones in the holy city, the high holy city, Jerusalem. Above all else, consider yourselves citizens of the New Jerusalem, right? And so just praying, not a lengthy prayer, but just to put this into practice, that all comms will be contested. You know, the Lord said that we will find you out. We will find you out, and also we'll put an end to what you were doing, because it's with Yahweh that you're meddling. So we found you out. We're going to put an end to what you're doing. We can see that what you're doing is silly. It's futile. It's frivolous. You lose. And God is going to place my foot on your neck 6 ways till Sunday until I see you next time. I love you. Amen. And you are worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for you created all things, and by your will they exist and were created.